Hey, this is Jebediah Buzzard, Mongo, the undead Cajun rodeo clown, attorney at law, and Laverle, and this tree that followed us in here. And we're hosts of Jebediah Buzzard's Friday Time Funhouse for Arkansas's first and only late night horror host show. And you are watching the Caine interviews. Oh, on Channel 18. Yeah. These fingers, yeah.
I'm Shannon Caine, and welcome to the Caine Interviews. On today's program, we'll be talking with Arkansas's very first horror host, Dr. Jebediah Buzzard. Joining him is his trusty sidekick, Mongo, the undead Cajun rodeo clown, who is not yet in the studio, but will be in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. You can catch their show, Fright Time Funhouse, here on Community Access Television in Fayetteville, as well as on other stations around the country. And now, all the way from Booger County, Arkansas, is Dr. Jebediah Buzzard.
Doctor, wow. I didn't know I was.
Well, you are now.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Jebediah Buzzard?
Well, kind of a long story. I started off, back when it's kind of all happened back when I was a carnival barker for a really small. Hey, Mongo finally showed up. About time you got here.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, come on.
Mongo, the undead Cajun rodeo clown.
Hey. And my personal attorney. I try not to go anywhere without my personal attorney.
Absolutely.
Reason being, we've already started. I'm trying to explain. Anyway, it started way back when I was a carnival barker at a really small circus. It was really small. It's like a half a ring. A semi-circus, if you will. And late one night, I'm out there, trying, just out walking a dirt road and trying to thumb a ride. And the guy stops to, offers me a ride. I didn't really, it's new moon. There's no moon out. I couldn't tell it was a crossroads, I don't know who's picking me up for a ride. Then he just goes into this whole thing about some deal, fame and fortune, whatever. Yeah, just give me as long as I get a ride, yeah, I'll sign it. Then he drops me off right in the middle of the road. I'm standing in the middle of the road and I get hit by a car about 5 minutes after bartering my immortal soul for fame and fortune, which I didn't find out till later, waking up in the afterlife. And luckily for, hooked up with, being a vaudevillian circus type, I hook up with, a clown here who happens to be a good attorney and renegotiated the deal, so kind of got to come back. And I haven't got the fame and fortune yet. We're working on that, but we do get to host horror films for all eternity, and that's not too bad for some sort of pittance, or damnation, hosting horror films.
So that is your that was part of the clause. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
host horror films.
Right.
For now and forever.
Right.
All right. Well,
As long as digital technology holds out, yeah.
Sure. Well, now what do you do in Booger County, Arkansas, when you're not hosting B films?
I like needlepoint, but cooking. Like to cook a lot. Hey, you're distracting the interviewer, Mongo.
But it's always wonderful to have Mongo on the set.
Oh, awesome!
And,
always.
look,
It's
a
always
tree
a
hugger.
constant laugh, I mean, it's like having like one of those yard things in the yard that blows and makes a lot of action in the background.
All right. Well, you said that you like to cook down in Booger County. What are some of your care to sharing your dishes with?
Well, most of my recipes were handed down by great grandma Jebediah Buzzard. Her famous possum chili. Famous possum chili. That's we eat a lot of that. Yeah.
And
A lot of gumbo, a lot of, cottonmouth gumbo. Oh, yeah, cottonmouth gumbo, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that sounds great. So is it really true that you're Arkansas's first horror host?
Well, according to the experts, the archivists who do the Horror Host Underground website, as far as we know, yes, we are the first horror host show produced in this state.
Great. Well, can you cite some of your influences as a horror host?
Vincent Price.
Okay. Well, that was, that was easy. What factors made an impression upon you in your youth?
Well, aside from Vincent Price, throwing some Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. Always loved those guys. But, circuses, the sideshow, the smells of cotton candy and funnel cakes and, all of that, the circus freaks, that's our circus, as I said before, was a small circus. We were mostly freaks. There was a lot of freaks. Oh, your chapeau back here. Yeah, big, hey, whoa. Put somebody's eye out, that thing. Yeah, we were really fond of the circus because, most of our circus was mostly, there wasn't a lot of actual talent. It was mostly, weirdos and freaks. So, that's a big factor, factor in easy. Trepiding. Oh, yeah, Mongo was taking up a new hobby, trepiding.
Great.
Some primitive trepiding.
Well, everyone needs a hobby.
Yeah.
And have you gotten much practice with it?
Oh yeah. We have people come by from time to time. Little do they know that there's going to be, there's always a surprise. Our dinner guests have no idea that the dinner entertainment at the end of the night is going to be some trepiding.
Well,
you never know when you might need to release that fluid off the brain.
Spontaneity is everything.
Yeah. They get to learn something new. Some people don't even know what the word trepiding means.
Well,
By the way, for those who don't know, it's a primitive brain surgery.
Right. And practiced by some people even today. There was a woman in Britain who opened up her skull with the Black & Decker fairly recently. Really?
Oh, wow.
And,
Wow.
Afterwards, she got up, walked out of her apartment, went and had a raw steak. And,
Wow.
So, yes, people are still practicing the ancient art, as we can see here. And I think Mongo's going to lead the way in this.
It could be a new cottage industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Home lobotomies.
Trepiding.com. I mean,
Yeah,
how can you
yeah.
lose? What do you think about the crackdown by some parents and church groups on horror? There are some people who won't allow their children to watch horror films, tell ghost stories, or even go trick-or-treating on Halloween. Do you think children miss anything by not being able to engage in these activities?
Well, yeah. When you're sitting in there at home and, you got to have everybody's porch lights on, the yard's decorated except yours, and you got to keep the lights off and don't answer the door because somebody might be in costume. Well, first of all, the kid's going to feel very ostracized, very different. It's about equal to dressing your kid up in plaid and horn-rimmed glasses and expect him to get along just fine, although it may be wrong for some, the other kids to tease somebody who's dressed up in plaid and horn-rimmed glasses. They're going to do it. And, restricting kids from going out and having fun with their friends, well, that's just inherently wrong in the first place, seeing that it's just a benign, innocent holiday. I've brought up many times that Halloween has its roots in a Christian holiday, but I get the counter-argument, well, now it's corrupted into this evil, scary thing. But has not Christmas been pretty much corrupted into a way to sell plastic? Or St. Patrick's Day, which in Ireland, they don't drink on that day. They pretty much abstain. It's a holy day. But here we celebrate Irish heritage by getting stinking drunk. And Thanksgiving, I'm sorry, but that whole Thanksgiving story about sitting down and have Christopher Columbus having turkey and dressing with the Indians just didn't happen that way. But as far as restricting watching horror films, granted, some movies like House of a Thousand Corpses I wouldn't show to a 5-year-old, but Bela Lugosi playing Dracula, why not? It's classic literature,
Right.
and it's a classic film. And as far as stories, restricting stories in comic books, it goes there too. You had many years ago the Boston Mothers, when the old EC Horror Comics, which is another reason EC Horror Comics and Famous Monsters magazine are a reason you see these two people sitting right here and this scary tree back here too. But the Boston Mothers were very concerned about EC Horror comic books, and there came the comic book standard that suddenly came out, the comic code. And in a society where we have so much literacy, it's restricting anyone from reading anything, I think, is pretty sad.
Okay. Well, now, as far as horror films go, which do you personally prefer? The old black and white horror films, or sort of the Ed Wood types of B films, or modern slasher flicks?
No modern slasher flicks. No. Modern slasher flicks. Okay. Modern slasher flicks, no. It just took the art out of it. It was a way to, sell some Halloween masks. There's some commercialization there. But just, you didn't have to write a new script to come up with a new story. You just did 13 sequels, over and over. Same shtick, different people die, same bad guy, same weapon. Big deal. But there wasn't a whole lot of imagination to it, with the slasher flicks. You're just doing it over. Oh, yeah, you're Chapeau. I lost again, big surprise. No, definitely the older horror films, because you've got so much more of a wide spectrum. You've got zombies, you've got vampires, you've got ghosts, you've got monsters, No, not too many of the new ones I respect too much, with the exception of Rob Zombie's latest works. Especially House of a Thousand Corpses. He really featured some of that horror host element there at the beginning. You've got homage to Baron Wolfenstein. Not the real Wolfenstein, a guy, Dr. Wolfenstein, but that's definitely an homage there. And, just sort of the homage to all of the great classic horror films in that movie. But not too many new ones that have been that impressive. Well, except George Romero. He did do that sequel, and, that fourth part in his zombie trilogy. And we do like zombie films, being people of color ourselves, green people.
All right. Well, now, if you could pair up any two horror film legends.
Oh, well, Mongo's got that Cajun, blood too,
All right. Well, if you could pair up any two horror film legends against one another, say King Kong versus El Santo, or Godzilla versus Freddy Krueger, who would you like to see duking it out?
Would I like to see? Well, I'd really like to see maybe like Hannibal Lecter and Julia Child duke it out. But, Julia Child not really being much of a horror legend, although some of the messes she made in the kitchen were pretty horrific. But now, you mentioned Godzilla versus, or was it King Kong versus Santo? Well, King Kong would squash him flat in a heartbeat. Sorry to say, there's no Mexican wrestling move that could topple King Kong. And Freddy Krueger versus Godzilla, that would depend on whether Godzilla dreamt or not, I would imagine. Otherwise, Godzilla would just torch him again, like he gets done in every movie. Which, I don't know. I don't even have seen all of the Nightmare on Elm Street. I had to see Friday the 13th, or was it Jason versus Freddy, just because about 10 years ago I prophesized that movie would be made. Right. So I had to see my prophecy.
All right. Well, who's your favorite Mexican wrestler?
Oh, well, definitely Santo. Santo. I mean, that's probably anybody says, Mexican wrestling. I mean, Blue Demon, Well, I mean, Santo because he had dedication. Here you go. Man. Yeah. Chronic habit. Here, we're gonna have to get that thing sewed on permanently. Santo, that was dedication. He never took that mask off.
Right.
In fact, I heard that when the coroner pulled the mask off, that his face was squished together. Like some people we know never takes a mask off. But yeah, definitely Santo. That was dedication. Nobody knows what Santo looked like.
Right.
He allowed his muscles to be contorted, and a lot of secret identities. We have a lot. There's a lot of secret identities on this show.
Okay. Well, what is your favorite horror film of all time?
Oh, Theater of Blood, Vincent Price. Because you got Shakespeare in there, and Shakespeare was the original Quentin Tarantino, the original violent, bloody, gory. There were more decapitations, impalings, poisonings, garrotings. There's probably about as much violence in Shakespeare's works as there is the Bible altogether. And but Vincent Price, that was probably his best acting of all because he got to bring out his Shakespeare, roles. He got to rehash all of those. That's where he started. Which Vincent Price, incidentally, here's some great trivia about Vincent Price. The way he made it into movies, the way he got his first acting role in a film was because he could chew gum and talk at the same time. And he actually was on set as to teach other. He was brought in many other movies to teach other actors how to chew gum and talk at the same time.
Well, that's great. Aside from the U.S., what country puts out the weirdest horror films?
Oh, well, that's a toss-up between Italy, Mexico, and Japan. Italy, definitely creepiest or most maggots used, but and they do have some weird things going on there. If you've ever seen a movie From Hell, or no, not From Hell, The Gates of Hell, you've got this, preacher that goes around causing people to literally barf their guts up, which is pretty strange. That's pretty bizarre movie there. But as far as just out and out bizarre, it's I may have to say that the Japanese win there. Mexican, creepy and bizarre too. They do a lot of surrealism too. But definitely, I would have to say that Japan definitely gets some of the most surreal and strange and kind of movies. There. Oh. There we go.
We got a staple gun for that.
Yeah, we normally carry one with us. But that's right. It's part of the act. Mongo wouldn't know what to do. Half the time, it's part of Mongo's act is putting the hat back on.
Does there seem to be a resurgence in horror hosting nationwide? Could you tell us a little bit about the current state of the horror show underground?
Oh, well, of course, we got in on this just about a year ago. We celebrated our first anniversary this last October. Officially, it's September, but we made it celebrate in October. Another reason to celebrate in October. More and more every day. Whenever I check the horrorhost.com website, that's horrorhosts.com. You can go there to read about all the other horror hosts, at least that are listed and are on. And, Curtis, the webmaster, is constantly, he's so behind us because there's so many new hosts. And every time I check it, he said, there's more hosts, and here's more that I've got listed, and there's more that I've got to list now. So there's definitely been a resurgence. And it's an art form that is almost solely dependent on community access television stations. Very few exceptions where there are people on regular stations, but most of those did start off on community access. They had to start there and then go on. But way back when the horror host started, I think Zachary, the great Zachary was one of the first, and Wolfenstein, all those. That was back when stations needed local shows. Usually it was the weatherman, at midnight would put on a cape and show some old horror films. But now you don't have as much local programming. So all of those old guys were wandering up and down the street when their cape, not knowing what to do with themselves. And thank God some community access came around, so they had something to do. But now, because of that, a lot of those hosts are getting picked back up on regular stations.
Another reason to love community access television.
Yes. It's an art form solely dependent on access TV. Otherwise, there would only be about 5 in the nation.
Wow. Okay. Well, Mongo, you've been pretty quiet up to this point. Since you're the philosopher of the duo, I thought I'd save this question for you. Given the hostilities between the Arabs and the Israelis, not to mention the continued threat of terrorism and breakdowns in diplomacy, what strategy would you personally recommend for bringing peace to the Middle East? Wow. I'm telling you what, that was deep.
That's about the most eloquent you've ever spoken, Mongo.
Spoken like a true diplomat. Well, thank
And
you.
lawyer.
And lawyer and attorney. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that insight.
You know,
if only we could bring that to the attention of the United Nations.
Yeah, I don't think they have any translators who speak zombie Creole, unfortunately.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's
Well,
the
they
problem
need
a lot of
to.
times. Yeah. Well, we don't have any representatives. No, that shows where it's still a very divided nation. There's no
Tragic.
one representing the Creole zombies or even the green people. You know,
Wow.
we are, as I say, we are people of color. We are green people, and you know, we would like to, you know, bring attention to everybody. You know, dead people's rights. You know,
Absolutely. The dead
Green
have
people's
rights
rights,
just
yeah.
like everybody else.
rights of the rotting. Yeah.
Right. Well, now, do you have a fan club? And if so, what does one get with his or her membership?
Well, I do have a fan club, yes. Currently, if you join the fan club, you get a toe tag ID card, with instructions what to do in case of death, you know, they're placed on your toe, and fill it out at the moment of death. But let's see, you also get a official certificate that you are a member, a membership letter, a autographed photo, autographed by us both, except Laverne, she's sort of illiterate. We just put an X there for her. And let's see, a free toy, and that's about it so far. There might be a pack of candy corn or, you know, some eyeball bubble gum or something in there too, you know, depending on how we feel at the time. Oh, do you get a secret code name? That's the tree back there. Yeah, the tree back there escaped off the set of From Hell It Came, a movie about a big, scary, evil tree that's, well, about as scary as it looks. But, yeah, it's been following us around for a while since we got a copy of that movie. We've been working on that episode. That's an upcoming episode. But but about the fan club, you get all that stuff and maybe more coming up eventually. Also, you get a secret code name and your cadaver number, which is very important for contests that we will do from time to time on the show, like some of the giveaways coming up from the King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong remake coming up. We've got some giveaways from there. But any giveaways or contests from now on, if it's a special one for members, you got to give your cadaver number and your secret code name.
All right.
And you can go to our website to find out email us from our website, find out how to get one of those.
Okay, we'll put that website up in a bit. And so, anyway, it sounds like a pretty good deal. Now, you're a horror film host, and you deal with frightening things on a daily basis. But what, if anything, scares you personally?
Well, now there's one thing that really scares me. Now there's things that creep me out and things I have aversions to. Maggots, for obvious reasons, you know. The green people definitely have aversions to maggots, you know. And then things that creep me out, like people that are so obsessed with Christmas that they start putting up Christmas lights in October and forget Halloween. That really creeps me out. But as far as what scares me and gives me the willies, women named Doylene.
Oh.
Doylene, Doylene, with red hair that sort of looks like a plastic hairdo. I've only met one like that, but it's never escaped me. I still have nightmares about that woman. Since then, anybody named Doylene, Yeah, just the thought of meeting anybody named Doylene frightens me.
So for
To the
you
bone.
doyleens out there watching,
Oh, God, I just gave it away, didn't I? I just gave away my weakness. Whew.
you know what to do. All right. What is the role of horror in our society? Why do people regularly pay good money to confront things that personally frighten them, such as haunted houses, freak shows, or horror films?
Well, I can answer that with a rhetorical question. Why would we pay money to go into an amusement park and get on a ride that makes you go, oh my God, I'm gonna die, and then some people actually do sometimes. Or why would we pay money to watch a movie that's going to make us bawl our eyes out? Catharsis. That's why. And in fact, relating it to a roller coaster. Well, more people have died off roller coasters than have died off of watching a horror film. I can't think of anybody who's died off watching a horror film.
Despite some of those old 50s promos.
Right, yeah. And all that did was get more people in to watch a really crappy movie.
Yes.
Which often was the case. It was so bad that they had to, make you believe that you were gonna, that they had to give you like a surgical smock to keep the blood off of you, or offer free smelling salts if you passed out, which were great. I loved all those old. I'd like to see movies do that more.
I think William Castle had some great.
Oh yeah, man. I think the last movie to do that was Basket Case. Gave away a free surgical mask to keep the blood off of your face. They'd give out barf bags or things like that. Yeah. They don't still do that anymore.
So catharsis is the answer.
Let out some pressure. Sinus is killing me lately. Yeah, definitely tighten it. Aha. Yeah, definitely the catharsis. It is a release. It is a release, and it's not. There has never been one. I mean, if anybody who is going to go out and kill somebody because they watched a horror film, they've got problems to begin with. And I think they already had problems. They could watch the evening news or Barney and go out and think they're a big purple dinosaur and eat people.
I think we're scaring Mongo. But thanks so much for being on the
thank
show.
you. This was a blast.
Thank you.
One last thing we would like to show, if we could show this great picture we got here. Archdemon Larry got sent here from. This is the godfather of all horror hosts. This is about the suavest guy there is, Count Gore Deval. That guy is suave with and that is suave with 3 A's, a couple of U's, and maybe a couple of V's. That is suave. And he's on the web too, which by the way will be on the web soon. You can go to sometime mid-December, Tar and Feather. You can check out where their site is on horrorhost.com, and they'll be airing our show on the web. You can watch us there.
Great. All right. Well, we've been talking with Jebediah Buzzard and Mongo, the undead Cajun radio clown, the host of Right Time Funhouse. Yes, and we would not want to forget.
She's a little shy, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, she hasn't said much, but does she really need to? You can catch their show, Fright Time Funhouse, right here on Channel 18. You've been watching the Caine interviews. I'm Shannon Caine. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Hi, my name is Angel. You're watching Cat TV.